Hello all, welcome to the JavaScript for Pentesters course on Pentester Academy. Now in this video, we will look at exceptions in JavaScript. So what are exceptions? Now in your program, errors will happen, and that's something most programmers know that it is almost inevitable. However, one needs to handle these errors in a graceful way. And this is where exception handling comes in. Now, basically, the try catch finally block is pretty much the standard for handling exceptions in most object-oriented programming languages. So I've given you a link, but let me illustrate how try catch finally works. So I've taken a very simple HTML file which you can recreate, and inside the script tag, let me put in the try catch finally block. So within the try block, we actually put something which we feel can have an error. Now when the error happens, we need to go ahead and catch that error, and what we would like to execute after we catch that error is what goes inside the catch block. And we of course want to do some cleaning up, regardless of whether the error happens or not, and that is mentioned in the finally block. So finally runs regardless of whether an error happens or not, right? So we run code within the try block. If an error or exception happens, then the code within the catch block executes, and then after that finally executes, right? If there is no error, then the try block first executes, then the finally block, and then we are out of this. Now let's go ahead and take an input so that we understand what the exception was, and we'll put that inside the error variable or err variable. So let me actually forcefully cause an error by calling a function which really does not exist. And we can go in here and let's print this error. So let's do a document.write, and let's basically write error was, and basically error.message, so we know what the error was. Finally block, we can actually do a document write runs regardless of if error happens or not. Right, here we go. Now let's go back in here, let's run this, and if you notice, basically error was, and it says does not exist is not defined, and then after that we have the finally block which prints, or rather writes, runs regardless of if error happens or not. And we can verify this by removing this line entirely, which causes the exception. Let's refresh the page, and if you notice, now there is no exception which happened, and hence the catch block did not execute. However, finally still executes, where you can write your cleanup code. Fantastic. Now this is an example of how built-in exceptions would be handled. Now what if you want to define your own custom exceptions? So the easiest way is actually to use the throw keyword followed by the exception. So let's say this is a custom exception, and inside the catch block let's print basically the exception which happened by doing the document.write, and we basically are going to say error was, there we go. Let's refresh the page. And if you notice, it says error was, this is a custom exception, right? And again, the finally block runs regardless of whether there was an exception or not. And we can again verify that by removing this line, refreshing the page, and there you go, right? So this is how you can implement custom exceptions. So hopefully this was fun. From a pure pen testing perspective, you probably might not be writing exception handlers, but a lot of times when you're looking at other people's JavaScript code to see if you can exploit any vulnerability in it, you may find these try-catch exception blocks to be in there, and hence it is important that we understand how it works. So that's all we had in mind for this video. If you're enjoying your time here at Pentester Academy, then please do recommend us to your friends and colleagues in the InfoSec community. Thank you.